He asked the judge to end his life, but it was never guilt. It was manipulation.
I'm asking you to give me the death sentence.
Lorenzo believed asking for the harshest outcome would force the system to go easier on him. But the judge saw through the tactic, granted his wish.
I sentence you, Mr. Lorenzo, to death.
And now Lorenzo is desperately fighting it back. This is the unforgettable saga of psychological games, courtroom drama, and one man's reversed fate. In December 2003, two men, Jason G. and Michael W., disappeared after leaving a Tampa nightclub. Family and friends raised alarms. 17 days later, Michael's body was found in the trunk of his own Jeep, wrapped in a fitted sheet. Jason was never located. Police traced both disappearances to a residence 10 minutes away from the club at 213 West Powhatan, where investigators executed search warrants and uncovered digital chats, drug paraphernalia, photographs, and bloodstains tied to Lorenzo and his accomplice, Scott Schweikert. Chat logs confirmed Lorenzo's shared intent with Schweikert to incapacitate and control men for sexual gratification. DNA on a gas mask and blood on his garage floor matched Jason, with odds of any other match being in the trillions. Multiple photographs showed Michael's lifeless body inside the home, posing evidence Lorenzo later denied recalling. Schweikert initially denied involvement, but then admitted participating in both deaths, including dismembering Jason and wrapping Michael's body for disposal in Michael's vehicle. In 2016, Schweikert accepted a plea deal, life in prison without parole, in exchange for full cooperation as a witness against Lorenzo. His sworn testimony during the penalty phase in February 2023 described how he and Lorenzo lured both victims, drugged them, and committed the atrocities.
You chose to invite Jason Gatehouse back to Stephen Lorenzo's house, is that right?
Stephen invited me back, yes.
Tell us about what happened then.
Well, we went back to Stephen's place. We all stripped down in Steve's bedroom. Jason climbed onto the bed and was shackled to the bed. There were shackles that were already on the bed at the headboard and the footboard in the middle of both.
Take us to the next step. What happened thereafter?
Well, I climbed onto the bed and I was starting to make out with him and playing with his testicles a little bit, slapping them a little bit. He was getting aroused hard. I unfortunately was not, because as I said, he wasn't my type. And I stepped to the bathroom to use the bathroom. I was gone maybe 4 or 5 minutes. I came back. Stephen was sitting basically behind him, had him in a chokehold, and was choking him out. Michael was kicking a little bit, and Stephen asked me to come over and hold his legs down. I think he was afraid that he might kick the shackles loose from the footboard or something along those lines. So I went over and I put my arms over his legs to hold him in place, and after about another minute, maybe less, he just stopped moving entirely. Afterwards, I asked him what was that. He says that it was a chokehold. It's something I was wanting to do, choke somebody out, take it like that way.
All right, after Stephen Lorenzo said that's always something he wanted to do, what other discussion?
There wasn't much of a discussion at that point. He immediately went into cleanup mode. He started with the legs, did one leg, cut it at the thigh bone, cutting through. And after he cut one off, he grabbed a trash bag, put that body part in it, tie it off with a zip tie, shove it inside of another trash bag, and tie it off with a zip tie. He said, this way it won't leak. He said, we worked so well together, I want to see, if we can do it again. He wanted to go back to 2606, he was driving, so that's where we went. And that's where he met Michael. Stephen wanted to ride with Michael back to the house, so they rode together in Michael's vehicle, and I drove Stephen back behind him.
Okay, you arrived. Where did you go? What did you do? What did Michael Walkowitz do? What did Stephen Lorenzo do?
Well, like I said, we came into the house, and I needed to use the bathroom. I barely made it to the bathroom, and Stephen's hollering, Scott, come here, I need your help. And I come back into the living room. Stephen is almost kneeling in front of holding his arms as Michael is trying to get away from him. And I come in and I see this, and I'm like, oh shit. And I jump in and throw my arms around Michael and hold him down. Stephen grabs a rag from somewhere and a can of maximum impact, sprays it on the rag and holds it over Michael's face until he goes unconscious. At that point, we quickly strip all of his clothing off of him, leaving the rag on his face so that he doesn't become conscious yet. After he's totally, completely naked, we throw cuffs on him. At some point, Stephen got undressed as well. And then after that, Stephen jumped in, rolled him back onto his stomach, and climbed on top of him, and basically straddling his legs, hands on the back of his upper back, forcing his face into the ground off to the side, and was basically titty fucking his ass cheeks. Dry humping makes sense, I guess. Well, once again, I had checked for a pulse, and then found none. We removed the cuffs. Stephen had, once again, grabbed a trash bag, started picking up Michael's belongings. He says, grab a sheet out of that closet there in the hallway, just outside the bathroom. And he told me spread it out there on the floor. So we did, and then we lifted the body out of the tub, laid it on the sheet, wrapped it up in the sheet, and then carried it out to Michael's vehicle.
The body of Michael Walcott's in his vehicle were left abandoned in an apartment complex parking lot a distance away from Stephen Lorenzo's house. Is that right?
Yes.
That testimony helped prosecute the case against Lorenzo. Lorenzo spent nearly 2 decades denying involvement. Then, in December 2022, he submitted a 147-page handwritten letter to the court, asking to plead guilty and specifically request the harshest penalty, even waiving appeals. In his words, the end results will prove to be identical. He fired his defense team, represented himself, and entered a plea in open court, accepting responsibility in exchange for what he termed a more comfortable environment than federal prison.
2 counts, first-degree murder. Mr. Lorenzo, how do you wish to plead to those 2 charges?
Open guilty.
At the penalty hearing in February 2023, Lorenzo stated that he could be on death row for 10 to 15 years, arguing that death row is a lot more comfortable than the federal system. He also expanded on his reincarnation beliefs, stating that the sooner he get euthanized, the sooner he can get himself a new body and come back again.
I'm seeking the death penalty. It's in my best interest, basically, because it's a comfort. I'll be living a lot more comfortable than I would in the federal system, living on death row, believe it or not. And of course, that may sound selfish, but I've lived in a private cell for the last 5 years, and I'm going to have a private cell on death row. At my age, I want to be comfortable. I want my privacy. That's what I want. So that's what I'm doing. It may sound selfish, but that's the way it is. You live for today. You don't live for the past. You live for today. So I'm asking you to give me the death sentence, because that'll be more comfortable for me to live out my lifetime. I know I can be on death row for about 10 or 15 years, which I think is crazy. But as far as I see it, it's just euthanasia. I already have a death sentence. Everybody in this room has a death sentence. So as far as I'm concerned, you're just offering me a euthanasia that I'm looking to do willingly. That's all it really comes down to. And so I'm asking you to do that. So, and I'm going to try to speed up this process so I don't have to wait 15 years, because I got better things to do in my time. The sooner that I get euthanized, as far as I'm concerned, the faster I can get, the sooner I can fetch myself a new body and come back again, a fresh body. That's how I look at it, because that's how it is. That's how spiritual work. We're eternal beings. So the way I look at it is, the sooner I euthanize, the sooner I can come back. I've got better things to do with my time than to hang out and spend the next 15, 20 years on death row or in any prison system. So that's what I'm asking for. It's selfish, but that's what I want.
Judge Christopher Sabella replied, stating that he don't know if what he say is some form of reverse psychology, but he will not consider what he want in issuing his sentence. The judge imposed the ultimate punishment by injection.
I don't know if what you say is perhaps some form of reverse psychology, nor do I care. I will not consider what you want in issuing my sentence.
I know that, yes.
All right. In the words of Miss Pam Williams, from one Italian to another, ti condanno a morte. That translates to, I sentence you, Mr. Lorenzo, to death. That is the punishment that you deserve for these horrific crimes.
State Attorney Susan Lopez affirmed, stating that this is not about Stephen Lorenzo. This is about Jason Galehouse and Michael Wachholtz, and that the harshest sentence is the only appropriate one. In June 2025, Florida's Supreme Court unanimously upheld Lorenzo's convictions and sentences, confirming he knowingly waived counsel, pled guilty, and represented himself during the penalty phase. Despite asking for the maximum punishment, Lorenzo has begun appealing the sentence, arguing procedural errors and excessiveness. That reversal, fighting a decision he asked for, reveals the ultimate irony. His manipulative reverse psychology gambit failed, and now he fights to avoid what he once demanded. Lorenzo disavowed traditional remorse, framed himself as spiritually eternal, and believed he could trick the system into giving him lesser punishment. He referred to his jail cell comforts and reincarnation multiple times. He mocked the idea of legal mercy, claiming childish and ridiculous systems. Justice prevailed, driven by victims' voices, not by Lorenzo's manipulation. Lorenzo assumed clinical detachment and calculated theatrics would protect him. Instead, the legal system saw through it and gave him exactly what he said he wanted. Stephen Lorenzo thought himself untouchable. He walked into court thinking he was in control, that reverse psychology and manipulation would save him. But the judge wasn't fooled. Now he's sitting on death row, trying to escape the very outcome he asked for. He thought he was playing the system, but in the end, the system played him. But here's the question that no one's asking. Do you think he really deserved the harshest punishment? Or did he trick the system into giving him exactly what he wanted all along? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, support the channel by watching the next video on your screen. Thanks for watching.